National Security Council, the Council of Governors, we today, in keeping with the recommendations of the National Emergency Response Committee on Coronavirus, issue the first coronavirus public order of 2021 as follows. Number one, cognizant that the propagation of the coronavirus within our borders has been fueled by political gatherings and large social gatherings, today I direct that all forms of political gathering be and are hereby prohibited for a period of 30 days, effective midnight on this 12th of March, 2021. That the escalation or de-escalation of the containment measures in regard to the prohibition of political gatherings and social gatherings, dependent on whether the national endeavor to break the chain of transmission will have been achieved. So if we do not achieve it, we shall extend it. Number three, to secure the implementation of the order on public gatherings and public ceremonies, I hereby further direct the National Government Administration officers, jointly with the National Police Service and county government enforcement officers, to strictly enforce this public order, regardless of the social status, political status of conveners of such political gatherings or social gatherings. 4, in regard to funerals, cremations, and other interment ceremonies, it is directed that these ceremonies shall be conducted strictly within 72 hours of confirmation of death. 4, it has further been ordered that attendees for funerals and graveside crematoria ceremonies shall be limited to the immediate family of the deceased, with a number capped at no more than 100 persons. That attendees of celebrations of weddings and other traditional unions and rites is hereby capped at 100 persons. 7, there shall continue to be strict maintenance and enforcement of public social health measures, including regular washing of hands with soap and water, or use of sanitizers, physical and social distancing in all public areas. And 8, that in line with the guidelines issued by the Interfaith Council, only a maximum of 1/3 of the capacity of places of worship will be allowed at each worship ceremony. The Ministry of Health, working closely with the National Government Administration officers, are also directed to enhance and strictly enforce border health security, with a greater emphasis on informal entry points, as the country remains at risk of the importation of new variants of the COVID-19. The Ministry of Health shall strengthen the existing COVID-19 genomic surveillance so as to monitor the circulating strains in the country for the purpose of informing policy decisions as well as public health interventions. 11, that all isolation facilities in the country must be maintained at a high state of preparedness through continuous capacity building and provisions of adequate PPEs for healthcare workers, supported by the continuous implementation of infection prevention and control measures. And 12, the county governments shall also enhance investment in piped and portable oxygen to isolation and critical care treatment facilities for the management of severe cases. And 13, the nationwide curfew is hereby extended for a further containment of 60 days, and in that regard, all bars and restaurants and other establishments open to the public must, as is current, close by 9 p.m. 14, to provide business continuity during the containment period, exemption on the application of curfew is hereby granted to essential service providers, factories working on 2 shifts, construction sites. All these are allowed to operate their night shifts. 15, to secure the implementation of the revised containment measures and to ensure effective enforcement of the same, today, in conjunction with my colleagues from the county governments, we have established an intergovernmental coordination framework in each of the nation's 47 counties. The county's intergovernmental committee will be co-chaired by the respective county governors and county commissioners and feature representatives of the county security teams, the county health chiefs, and the county government enforcement units. The county's intergovernmental committee shall be convened at least once every week to assess the county's specific compliance levels. 18, the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, jointly with the Cabinet Secretary for Health, are directed to develop revised protocols for public transport in consultation with all stakeholders in the transport sector. Fellow Kenyans, as I conclude, let me leave you with 2 thoughts. 1, Kenya is entering a critical phase in the management and control of the pandemic. With the arrival currently of World Health Organization pre-qualified COVID-19 vaccines, this vaccine has been tested, and our own medical experts are persuaded that it is that its safety profile is bankable. The vaccine rollout, as I said a few days ago, will be done in phases and guided by the National Deployment Vaccination Plan, with the first phase, which is currently ongoing, targeting frontline health workers, uniformed personnel, teachers, as well as those engaged in emergency services such as the fire brigade, firefighters, and so on and so forth. The second phase, which will also start immediately we receive our second consignment, will target the elderly people and those with pre-existing conditions. But I must also make it clear that as much as we recommend the vaccine be taken, vaccination shall be voluntary. The second thought I wish to leave you with has to do with what explains our success against this invisible enemy in the last 1 year. Fellow Kenyans, subconsciously, we have developed a culture of civic duty and responsibility. The culture of minding yourself and becoming your brother's keeper is getting entrenched as a norm and practice under COVID conditions. And this culture of civic responsibility may explain in part the drop of COVID positivity rate from 19% in November 2020 to 2% in January of this year. I must remind you that government will do its part to protect Kenyans, but the first line of defense against this invisible enemy is the people. If we exercise civic responsibility and act as our brother's keepers, we will have won half the battle against this pandemic. Finally, I know our students who will be sitting for their national examinations in the coming week are busy preparing. Let me say, both as a father and as your president, I know you have arrived at the examination desk following a road marred by many challenges that have not been faced by others before you. Sitting for your examinations after having been out of class for almost a year, I want you to know that the entire country and I are rooting for you. To our grade 4, to our class 8, to our Form 4 candidates, I convey my best wishes to you all, and I pray that your efforts will indeed bear bountiful harvest. May God bless you, and may God bless Kenya.